how did we get here? It didn't start here, right? Weddings, I'm sure, didn't always cost a small fortune.
Everything started in the United States, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. Surprise, surprise. Weddings did not start here. And they have not always been about love. In fact, they were more of a business transaction back in the day. Believe it or not, that's odd to think about, huh? Women were just kind of a piece of property.
To be bartered by the dads, right? The fathers.
Exactly. They started, at least history suggests, that weddings started in like ancient Greece and Rome. And it was more of a business transaction between the father of the bride and the groom, where the groom would like write a letter to the father saying, this is why this would be a profitable situation for you. This is what me and my family and my resources can bring to your family. This is why I should be able to marry your daughter.
It makes me think of Game of Thrones, where
Yeah.
one of the like royal houses wants to create a strong alliance with the other house.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like these different, strong, famous families that are trying to build like, business ties and societal ties and, power dynamics so that they can kind of run things. And then like the husband and wife just kind of have to learn how to get along with each other.
Right.
Like
right.
all right, I guess I can figure out how to build a life with you.
The getting along part is like not even really considered or thought about. It's just, how does this situation benefit us both?
Monetarily.
At the expense of the bride. Always, usually. So most of the times they were like arranged marriages. And actually, a funny side note, you know how women take the last name of the man in most scenarios, most cases?
Like traditionally, yeah. It's kind of starting to go away.
Why?
Yeah.
It's weird that we do that. But we do that, and it's thought to have originated from property transfer. So
Meaning
the woman,
the wife was...
the woman having the last name Johnson, very common ancient Greece last name, marries into a Smith family, right? So Johnson means you belong to the Johnson family. When you get married, that property shifts from the Johnson family to the Smith family, hence you taking the name Smith.
Didn't I hear, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that this is what led to the whole father walking the bride down the aisle.
Yeah.
It was the father transferring ownership of his girl, which is your property. That's disgusting. To the husband, who's now the new owner of the property.
Right, like handing him off or handing her off to him.
Yuck.
Yeah. So that's where that notion is rooted in. Just property transfer. Handing over a bride for property. Pretty gross. But weddings have evolved, and we still have a lot of like those traditions that we don't have any clue why we do.
Giving away the bride, asking the father for permission.
Exactly. But you know how we have tiered cakes at weddings?
Yeah.
That's not by accident either. So back in the day, everyone would bring a cake to someone's wedding, and then they would stack it on top of each other, and then the bride and groom would try and kiss over the stack of cakes without knocking them over, and that eventually just evolved into a tiered cake.
That kind of makes me think of in Sleeping Beauty when the fairy godparents start putting together the cake, and it gets like super, super, super tall, and it starts leaning over. They start using magic to prop it up. We need to bring that back.
We do need to bring that back. Absolutely.
I want to eat a tall cake.
I do too. Sorry. You just said tall cake. But
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject here.
Please.
I'm looking up some stuff, and it's Google, right? The term, so I looked up like what's the ancient definition or meaning of the word wedding. Wedding stems from the Old English wedung, and its alternative word being bridelope, which literally means bridal run.
Oh.
Looking down here, the term has roots with Old Norse and Danish words vedja and vede, which is to make a bet or a wager. This makes sense when you consider that weddings were more a matter of politics and business for much of history.
Oh,
I don't know if you're going to
right.
touch on that, but I was like, okay, let me look that up.
That's fascinating. But it's so true. It was like business class. It was politics. It was how does this benefit our
Yeah.
family? How does it make a better name for us?
And were arranged for most of human history. Both the bride and the groom.
I mean, we
had no
still
say.
do that in certain pockets of societies. I think in general we've shied away from that because it's
India,
horrific.
still a lot of that in India.
Yeah.
That coworker I mentioned, his parents were in an arranged marriage.
Really?
And yeah, it still happens.
It does.
Kind of blows my mind.
Religious communities still
Yeah.
do it,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately. But marriage as an idea didn't come about as a legal, like binding document until the medieval times, which if you think about it, it's fairly recent in my mind. Like over the course of human history, that's
Right.
when it started to become the government started to get involved. And they would have, I think that is where the idea of a modern wedding was birthed.
From government
Medieval
intervention.
times. It's when it started to become a government recognized union.
Huh.
So that's when all these traditions that we do in our weddings started to appear. So things like a pre-wedding betrothal ceremony, that's when that started. Or the bride would dress in fine silk. It's where the idea, of a bridal dress came from. They
Interesting.
originally wore blue as a sign of purity.
What?
I don't know exactly how it evolved to white, but
Can we bring that back?
blue?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring that back.
Yeah, white's boring. Too pure.
I want to see a wedding where everyone's dressed in blue. Blue wedding dress, blue
Mhm.
tuxedo.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's blue. Dabba dee, dabba die. Dabba dee, dabba die.
And with that, thank you. This is our last episode, unfortunately, in circulation. We're going to have to close the show indefinitely forever and never make another one again. So, thanks.
Mission accomplished.
But we would, with these medieval weddings, they would throw rice. I don't know why, but that's when that started.
And now you have to
We
have a
still
wedding.
do that today.
'Cause I want to like huck rice at you and Marissa.
You can do that outside of a wedding.
Yeah, but I want like a format to be able to like huck rice directly at you.
Oh, like it's, where it's
Ceremonial.
appropriate.
Yeah. Because if you just like are coming out of your apartment and I just throw rice at you.
It is annoying when you do that. It got in my eye one time and I had to go to the doctor and I missed work.
That's neither here nor there. And
It's here. We're talking about that.
that was one time that happened.
The eye part, you throw rice all the time.
You started wearing like contacts and glasses after that.
Safety, for safety measures, I have perfect eyes. So I wear contacts and I see worse just to protect my eyes.
But now I
'Cause of
know
you.
why I have that need. It probably comes from all of this, like deep down. So,
So we have the medieval times to thank for all of this. Is
Yep.
my point.
Yeah.
But weddings are an ordeal now. It's not an event. It's often not even one day. It's often multiple days over the course of hours. Oh, they just take so long. There's so much to them.
we now have rehearsal dinners the night before
Mm-hmm.
to make sure everything goes perfectly according to plan.
But an interesting thought that I had while reading about weddings is because they were business transactions at first, when did they start to become about love?
Interesting.
Because they're about love these days, right? At least the idea.
So that probably changed
Behind it
in
is
like
love.
when like 2003 ish. When
That's
that
about
changed.
when love started to become mainstream.
It was probably the summer of love in
Mm-hmm.
the 60s. All the hippies. That's when like we didn't love before then.
Do you want to know something funny? You're not far off.
So we have psychedelics to thank for love.
Just saying. But the idea of love in marriage is thought to have come about around the 12th century in, bet you can't guess,
Oklahoma.
Scotland.
Oklahoma, the city of love. Yeah. No, France.
Wait, I want to take. Oh, I was gonna say France.
Were you gonna say France? Okay, well, you didn't. I said France. France.
I was. Yeah,
You were
France.
close with Scotland, though, Trello. You were really close.
It's up there.
A lot
Yeah.
of people say that Oklahoma is the
Their
France
borders.
of the United States.
I mean, Oklahoma has a lot of French characteristics to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the first time love was found in French literature, particularly encouraging men to woo women. That's when that idea came around. Because before it was like, no, you're assigned to marry a man. But or in France, that's when they're like, no, men, you need to woo women so you guys can be happy together. So you can get along.
What a thought. Like, that's so weird to me that it took that long for just the idea of you should date. Like, you should maybe see if there's a spark. Because can you imagine your whole existence being based on like a business transaction?
Right.
You have nothing in common.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
You just are making it work. Like that would, oh my gosh, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, women have been property of men for a long time in history, right? I don't think anyone would argue that. Women have been viewed as property for a long time. And in the United States in particular, I can't speak so much for worldwide because I don't know as much, but in the United States at least, I mean, women were considered property until like 60s, 70s time.
Yeah.
Still, it's bad, but
I mean, if you think about it, yeah, we like to say we're the land of the free, home of the brave, but I mean, women didn't
men.
even have the right to vote. For most of American history, women couldn't vote.
right. I mean, it wasn't until like the 1960s where the remaining laws against interracial marriage were abolished. 60s. It's like my dad was alive.
So it really was kind of summer of love. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong there.
Thank you, dirty hippies.
Thanks,
You done
dirty
did good.
hippies.
Go Woodstock.
And then it wasn't until the mid 70s women could even get a credit card on their own.
Are
They
you
had to have a
serious?
man. You had to have a man to get a credit card.
What? Oh my gosh.
Crazy, right?
So this whole, like, this has been baked in to the world for forever. Like deference to the man of the house. And you don't work, you don't deal with finances, you don't have very much control. You need to show up, be quiet, cook some food, leave me alone.
Right, right. And that idea was like not even until 2015 was same-sex marriage legalized.
Right.
So this idea of just a man owns a woman is so entrenched into our culture that we're still seeing garbage from that.
That's easy, to forget about, that we were born when gay marriage was outlawed.
Yeah. Anyway, civil rights, another topic, another day. We're talking about weddings, but we had to talk about that.
Yeah.
So, interesting side note, when did love come into play in weddings? Because now they're about love. The idea is you marry someone you like, so you have a happy life together. That's the idea, right?
Novel.
Doesn't always happen that way, but that's the idea. And that has changed. Which goes back to, I went down a little rabbit hole. We all know Play-Doh, right?
Yeah, I love it, but you're not supposed to eat it, which has been hard for me. But it is really fun. It's very tactile. Teaches kids how to be ambidextrous. I've heard really good. I mean, the Play-Doh company.
Trello, can we cut half, like just a line here and cut half of this podcast out?
On it.
My God. I'm only pissed because it's funny.